Okay, so just a little bit of history here on social media. It actually goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Anybody remember the story of Paul Revere? And I don't mean Paul Revere and the Raiders. Okay, so if we look at that situation, as you know, some of you may recall the story with the Brits are coming. He had a number of what we call communicators that had networks in various different towns and cities. So that famous midnight ride, he's riding all these towns. He's going to his communicator, letting that person know what's going on, and then in turn, with their social network, they're letting everybody know what's going on. In that case, the Brits are coming. So the only difference today is it's digital. So it's been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. In fact, probably thousands of years. Today's definition, I'll give you that. This is what they call today's definition, relevant to social media marketing. Enables others to advocate for your business through compelling content. I want to stop at this compelling content for a minute. There is a whole new breed of employee and business person with social media, because not everybody can write good content. Good content is the key to good social media campaigns. So now and in the future, these types of workers that have the ability to communicate in their written word are going to be worth an awful lot of money to us. So if anybody is thinking of getting into that career, it's going to do nothing but grow. A couple other things reference, this is a more simpler definition of social media. It's very much like a cocktail party. Listen, then respond. And links are the currency of the social web. Now what I mean by that is, whether you're tweeting, whether you're using Facebook, whatever, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, you always want to drive traffic back to your foundation, which is your website. Don't put all of your intellectual value on one social media. If you own your website and all the intellectual value, that's where you want to drive the traffic to. And now just a couple of interesting stats. Just in 2009, there was 90 trillion emails. Can you imagine? 90 trillion emails. There's now about 500 million active Facebook users, 126 million blogs on the internet, 10 billion tweets sent on Twitter since 2006, 2 billion videos are streamed each day on YouTube. We're talking the fastest communication tool ever in the existence of peoplekind. You can't get any faster. Now, just on one of the subjects relevant to this is the blog. Blog should be your starting point. And there's a company that we work with that does our time and billing software. So when you're in graphic design and stuff, every technician has to put how much time they're putting on a job. Now, we found these people through their blog. They have 100,000 people that read their blog every single day. Now, can you imagine if any one of us here as business owners, managers, or whatever it might be, had 100,000 people interested in what we had to say every single day? Now, let's just say, okay, we have a new product. We have a contest, whatever it might be, or like in your case, reality TV type of thing. So can you imagine in one day, 100,000 people are going to read it. Now, thus far, doesn't cost you a thing because the blog is free. And then of those 100,000 people, how many other hundreds of thousands of people are they going to talk to about? So there's no other media that is faster than digital social media to get the word out. But it does take work, because when we're talking blogs, you need to blog every single day. You need compelling content. And no, it's not there to blog about and say, oh, we have a special today where it's 2 for 1. You have to educate, you have to engage your clients. It's not just about putting your advertising medium. The idea is to develop new relationships so that when they're thinking of your product or service, they're going to think about you. So educate first, then from there you're going to have a natural following. Okay, how many people are tweeting? Okay, so we've got a few. Okay, how many people are involved with, how many people own and operate businesses here? Okay, so we've got a lot. Okay, and do any of you have blogs? Okay, so we've got 1 or 2. Okay, fair, okay, so we've got a few and stuff like that. Okay, fair enough then. So, no questions?
I have a question.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll,
go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm curious what sites you recommend for blogging. I've heard WordPress
but I tried to use WordPress and I couldn't figure it out personally.
Excellent question. WordPress is the most popular there is, but what's more important though, as I mentioned before, is driving traffic to your own website. So if your website is based upon WordPress, it is absolutely perfect for a blog. But yes, it is complicated. In our case, we've got, well, in fact, our minimum requirement for our employees is 5 years. They have a minimum of 5 years experience. Most of the people that work with us have 4 to 5 years of university, and we also have an Adobe certified teacher. So what we do is we bring them into our office and we teach them step by step how to use that. But WordPress is the best there is. Now another choice that you can do is if you already have a website, and let's say you don't want to get a website with WordPress, is you can create a blog page on your existing website. So it would be xyzcompany.com/blog. And it's critical to have blog because so many people every single day are looking for social media blogs, car blogs, green blogs, whatever personal interest that they might have. So what happens is you can use a free tool like Tumblr that allows you to create a blog. And then what happens is, and it's much easier than WordPress, and it has what we call an RSS feed. So in English what happens is, now you'll need a technician to do this to your website, but everything you blog about in Tumblr will be live on your web page as well. And that's always the best place to do your blogs. Now another good free tool is blogger.com, which is owned by Google. And you can pick various different color backgrounds and stuff like that. You can start blogging almost, well, in fact, pretty well right away. You can do it in half an hour to an hour. But before you start those blogs, just be ready to make the commitment that you've got a blog. You should be blogging daily, and even once a week, bare bones minimum, because you've got to start feeding it, otherwise you're going to lose the interest. So there's certainly a few types of blogs that you can do. And we had another question from...
Do you see any potential backlash coming from people who got onto social media just for their personal interest and then feel a little bit intimidated by companies that want to reach them?
Do you mean the monetization of social media? Is that what you... Well, has anybody watched the movie Social Networking? Okay, and a lot of it was about that. And if anybody's not familiar, that's the movie about Facebook and how it got created. And they didn't want to monetize it for a long time. And my opinion on that is I would agree. What you want to do is get an awful lot of followers first. So once you get a huge amount of interested people using your products and services, in that case Facebook was free, then eventually you've got to monetize it because, I mean, they grow so fast, they had to have cash flow in order to keep it going. So I personally, no, I don't love the monetization of it, but now that it's being used, it is an excellent medium to get your message out, especially with the Facebook advertising. We're using it for plastic surgeons, dermatologists, of course, shopping centers, just about every type of demographic, because it gets directly the message to your demographic. But I personally, I don't like it, but we have to get cash flow to stay in business, and I think that, well, they had no choice but at some point to monetize it.
I think just to add to, I think the way they've done it, the paid advertising is fairly easy to ignore if you choose to ignore it. And people on the internet are used to seeing banner ads and other display advertising. In terms of business pages on Facebook, the other thing is the end user ultimately does have the freedom to like or dislike a page. They don't have to be a fan of your business page. If somebody's on purely for personal reasons, the only advertising they would really see is the paid advertising in the right rail, which is fairly unobtrusive. I guess in terms of how far they take paid advertising in the future could push some backlash. But you as a Facebook member have to become a fan of a business-oriented page to see all that content coming at your wall and your screen. So you can choose not to. And if I have people, our radio station numbers go up and down all the time, people coming and going. And we usually see the more we push advertising type messages, the more the numbers drop, and the more we're more casual and trying to engage the audience with polls and two-way communication, those numbers sustain themselves.
Yeah, and if I can add something, that was one of my concerns when we first launched our Facebook fan page. We don't want to, to be perceived as sending junk emails and filling up your email inbox. So we right now only do maximum of 3 wall posts a week. We try to, unless there's a hot sale, we think someone should know about it. But even when we began, we didn't post retailer sales. It was things that we felt that would be of interest to our shoppers. But for the most part, we let them provide the content versus pushing out our message to them. So it's definitely top of mind that we don't want to send them too much information.
And I believe you had a question back there, too.
Yeah, well, and now I have two.
Okay, that's fine.
For someone who has a small business and is considering doing something with Facebook, like myself, but I mean, I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't jumped in yet. I'm a little wary. Is there any training, you know, that you kind of learn the basics and the pitfalls and what to do and what not to do?
Yes, there's information online, left, right, and center, and we're constantly taking new courses as well. But yes, there's information all over that you can learn about it. But I do say this very, very, very cautiously. Make sure that you have your foundation first. So what I mean by that is a website. Don't jump into social media first, because search is still the thing that gives us the most amount of money. So when somebody types various different services, Nanaimo or California, or wherever it might be, if you're in that top 10, that has a much faster return than social media. So start with the foundations. What I would suggest is start with a small website that has some educational pages with a blog. That's a great way to start it. Keep that going for 3 or 4 months. Track your statistics to see what kind of visitors you're getting. Change your content, and then start adding the other medias. Now, what's your second question?
Well, I'm just wondering what type of business, and I'm thinking small business, I guess, would benefit the most from using Facebook?
It's
a question for you.
it's certainly, Facebook is more business to consumer than LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is more business to business, but it definitely, for Facebook, if you are a retailer, actually, well, it covers, yeah, so many different categories and genres of business, it's almost endless. But it is mostly, though, a business to consumer type of network with Facebook versus things like LinkedIn. Yes?
If you're doing a service-based industry, to you businesses, LinkedIn is the place you suggest?
It's still Facebook as well. LinkedIn is, okay, I use it more of a tool looking for leads, because you use the database and it has all kinds of different companies. But what happens is LinkedIn works very differently. First of all, it's double the price as Facebook for advertising. And even to use the system, in other words, to send emails within the LinkedIn network, you have to pay monthly. But I'm not saying, though, it's not, you need your profile, because the backlink to your website is crucial with a website of that type of power.